Well, folks, we have got ourselves a pretty spicy pre-draft visit here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as it has been reported by Locked On Bucs, as well as various other sources, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had a top 30 visit with former Texas running back Bijan Robinson, 5'11", 215 pounds, again coming out of Texas. This is a very, very interesting pre-draft visit. Bijan Robinson, far and away the top running back prospect in this upcoming NFL draft. Whenever you look at the production score overall, at least according to the NFL Network, he was number 1. Whenever you look at the athleticism score, at least according to the 2023 Combine rankings from the NFL Network, he was number 2, and his total score ranked him as the number 1 running back in this upcoming class. But I'm pretty sure you guys all know that, right? Everybody knows how good Bijan Robinson is. This has actually been a prospect that a lot of people have been wanting me to talk about for a little bit now, and there is a lot of good reason to see why. You look at Bijan Robinson's stats in his 2021 and 2022 seasons, his sophomore and senior seasons, and the dude was absolutely electric. He had 1,127 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns in 2021. Then in 2022, he had 1,580 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns. The dude is an absolute running machine. He's also got a little bit of receiving ability in there as well. 295 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2021. 314 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns in 2022. The dude is just really good at football, and his combine numbers were incredibly impressive as well. A 4.46 40-yard dash, 1.52 10-yard split, a 37-inch vertical jump, a 10-foot 4-inch broad jump. He has been compared to Josh Jacobs by Lance Zierlein of the NFL Network. But to go even further than that, this is also a guy in Bijan Robinson that has been compared to guys like Christian McCaffrey, as well as Saquon Barkley. That is the level of impact that scouts and really just most people in NFL circles believe Bijan Robinson can have with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Or I guess I shouldn't say with just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but with the NFL as a whole. What gets interesting is Bijan Robinson spoke recently. I cannot remember the reporter, my apologies to that, but he did have a one-on-one interview with a reporter where he was asked what teams he has had top 30 visits with in the NFL pre-draft process so far. Bijan Robinson named 2 teams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles picked before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do. I believe they have the 10th overall pick. The Buccaneers have the 19th overall pick. Would the Eagles pick a player like Robinson at pick number 10? Would the Buccaneers pick a player like Robinson at pick 19? Those are 2 very legitimate questions that are completely reasonable, in my opinion, to ask because of the level of interest that Robinson is getting from both of those teams. Now, I will say Robinson did clarify a little bit and say that he has had plenty of Zoom meetings with other teams as well, but folks, we all know that hey, top 30 visits are a big deal. You only get 30 of them. So the Buccaneers consider Bijan Robinson to be one of the top 30 prospects on their board, if we are to believe all of this, and it isn't smoke and mirrors and everything along those lines. I don't understand why it would be, because the Bucs do definitely look like they're showing genuine interest here in Robinson. And I know what some people may say, and it is understandable, and I do agree with this mindset of saying, well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have Rachaad White. They just drafted him in the 3rd round recently of last year's NFL draft. They did just sign Chase Edmonds to a 1-year deal. Is there necessarily a need to take a running back at pick 19, or would that be more of a luxury pick? You also might want to consider, would the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be interested in trading back into the 1st round of the NFL draft if Robinson falls into the later part of round 1? That's another thing you've got to consider in there as well. If the Buccaneers take, let's say, an offensive tackle, something along those lines at pick 19, maybe it's Anton Harrison, maybe it is Darnell Wright. Will they potentially trade back up into the 1st round to get a guy like Bijan Robinson? It's a pretty legitimate question, and one that I do believe needs to be considered. But folks, this is a pretty darn interesting pre-draft visit. I am not going to say no to the idea of drafting Bijan Robinson in the 1st round, right? I don't necessarily say that for any player. Do I think that it should be on the top of the list of prospects that the Buccaneers should consider at 19? No, I think that there are definitely other positions that you could consider. And I know people will make this argument and say, well, take best player available. And I do understand that. But I think also, and this is just how I would do things, it's probably why I'm not a general manager in the NFL, but one thing that I would consider is trying to find a balance of, yes, taking what you consider to be one of the best players available on your board, but also addressing a need as well. I think you have to kind of find that balance, because if you took just the best player available on your board every single time, then you probably wouldn't be addressing needs that need to be addressed. You would just have a crap ton of quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs and all these other different types of things, right? And I think that you have to find that balance of, yes, taking one of the top best available players on your board, but also looking to address some of the needs that you may have on your roster right now. And I just don't see that balance right now for Bijan Robinson. Is he one of the best players in this entire draft? Yes, absolutely. There is no doubt about that. But that is kind of one of the main things he's got going for him right now to be considered at pick 19, because the Bucs do have Rachaad White. They do have Chase Edmonds as well. And they may just look to go in a different direction, be it at tackle, some of those other positions of need like edge rusher, defensive line, cornerback, safety, some of those other groups that are going to have guys that may be more of an immediate need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they have Rachaad White, because they have Chase Edmonds and guys along those lines. But, hey, again, you guys can completely disagree with me. That's just kind of my thoughts on the draft and how I would do things. You guys might think completely differently, and that's the cool thing about doing these types of things is we can have discussions about it. So what do you guys think? Don't get me wrong. I would love Bijan Robinson on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this dude's an absolute mad lad. I think he has the ability to be one of the best running backs in the entirety of the NFL very much right away, and I think that he'd be a phenomenal fit in a Dave Canales offense, but seems a little bit more like a luxury pick to me at pick number 19. But you guys could disagree. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, folks, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.